Take a listen here to something that Jimmy Page had to say about the formation of Led Zeppelin and what he envisioned as the blueprint for a successful hard rock band, and then we're going to relate back to this as we discuss The Warning. Listen in to Jimmy Page right here.
Now, the idea of Led Zeppelin 1 that I had was that there was going to be a guitar tour de force. However, it was not going to be at the expense of the other musicians, so everyone was going to be featured, and the group character, if you like, the fusion of the musicians, was going to be representative of each of the individuals.
Now, a few days ago, we asked if Daniela Villarreal could pass the Tony Iommi guitar test, but that just raises a bigger question. Imagine walking into a rehearsal studio in 1973. Rock music is exploding, bands like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and Rush are redefining what a rock band can be. The guitars are louder, the drummers are more explosive, and the expectations are very high. Now imagine a modern band walking into that world, a three-piece rock band from the 2020s. The question is, could they survive? Today we're going to find out, because in this video we're going to run The Warning through 4 classic rock tests to see if they could have held their own in the golden age of rock bands. And the result might surprise you. The first test any rock band had to pass in the 70s was the Riff Test. This was the era of monumental guitar players like Tony Iommi and Jimmy Page. So the question becomes, does The Warning have the kind of riff power that bands like Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and Deep Purple had? Could they hold up in that era? And if so, what makes their riffs so interesting? Well, first of all, The Warning's guitar playing combines rhythmic precision with a really strong sense of melody, something that classic rock guitarists rely on heavily. And even more importantly, The Warning's riffs feel structural. They're not just background chords, they help carry songs forward. That's exactly the kind of role guitar played in the 70s. The verdict, in my opinion, is that The Warning does pass the guitar riff test. But great rock bands were never just about riffs or just about guitar. The real power of 1970s rock came from the rhythm sections that could shake walls. Think about drummers like John Bonham or Bill Ward or Ginger Baker. These aren't background players. These are engines. These are drivers. And this brings us to Paulina Villarreal, one of the most explosive drummers in rock today. Paulina's playing combines technical control with sheer energy. She drives songs forward in a way that feels much closer to classic rock drumming than too many modern studio-driven styles. And there's nothing metronomic or drum machine-like in her playing. She's filled with charisma. Her performances are physical, dynamic, and unpredictable, all hallmarks of great rock drummers from the 1970s. And then we have Alejandro, one of the most remarkable bass players around today. Whether we're talking about her tasteful choices of bass patterns, or we're talking about her onstage charisma, her bass tone, or her thorough understanding of rhythm and bass dynamics, she elevates The Warning to a higher level than most trios in the history of classic rock. So, in my opinion, The Warning passes the rhythm section test. Before we get to test number 3, I just want to point out that there is something that The Warning should never do despite their incredible talents. If they were to take this path, I think it would be very bad for them, and I talk about this in a members only video that you can access by hitting the join button below. Number 3, the test of band chemistry. This test might matter even more than musicianship. Classic rock bands like Rush or Sabbath or Zeppelin, Deep Purple, even Aerosmith and AC/DC weren't just collections of talented musicians. They were tight units that developed a musical language together over time. And this might be actually one of the things that The Warning does best, because the band consists of 3 sisters and they've been playing together since childhood. That kind of long-term musical connection creates an instinctive chemistry. And when we watch them perform live, you can see their communication happening in live time. The band moves together, reacts together, and this kind of unity is exactly what defined the greatest rock bands of the 70s. But more than that, it keeps the band from falling apart in their offstage moments. In other words, the demands of their industry and the pressure of touring and even the pressures of fame are less likely to destroy The Warning because they are such a close-knit unit. All that said, there is one test that might matter more than any other. The final test is songwriting, because great bands from the classic rock era didn't just play well. They wrote songs that people remembered. Riffs, hooks, dynamics, dramatic shifts. These were the building blocks of rock songwriting. And this is where the warning continues to show something very unusual for a modern band. Their songs are built around song structures, memorable choruses, and shifts that keep their music moving. They have a kind of songwriting approach that's much more mature for the band than you would expect. And I think that what I've seen from them so far is very promising. I think they do pass the songwriting test. So my final verdict here is, if the Warning had walked into a rock rehearsal studio in 1973, would they survive the audition? Based on the 4 classic rock tests we just went down, guitar riffs, rhythm power, band chemistry, and songwriting, the answer is actually pretty clear. Yes, they probably would have done more than survive. They probably would have thrived. Because what makes the Warning unusual in today's music landscape is that they function very much like a classic rock band. 3 musicians, strong chemistry, shared musical identity. In many ways, they feel like a modern continuation of traditions made decades ago by bands like Rush, Zeppelin, Sabbath, Aerosmith, AC/DC, and Deep Purple. And in this regard, they're doing more than just carrying the torch forward. They're actually showing a path that no one would have seen without them. So if you enjoy these kinds of deep dives into rock musicianship and lineage, that's exactly what we explore here on MusicGuru. Some of the deeper stories even make their way into the channel's members section. For example, there's a recent members episode about Ozzy Osbourne and a surprisingly little-known story involving him and the Bible, which is quite a contrast with the Prince of Darkness image. So if you're interested in those kinds of extended rock history stories, you can check out the MusicGuru membership page. And as always, a big thank you to everyone who supports the channel, including those who use the super thanks featured below the video. That support really helps keep these rock history explorations going. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't seen the Tony Iommi guitar test video, you should probably watch that one next. See you next time here on MusicGuru.
MusicGuru here, asking you to help us on our march to 10,000 subscribers.
Welcome back, members. This is one of those conversations that really shouldn't be put on the public channel, because today I want to talk about something a little bit delicate. This isn't criticism, it's definitely not a prediction, and I'm definitely not trying to create drama, but I think I see a creative fork in the road for the Warning, and I really hope they don't choose one of those forks.